So if one was to choose to apply conformal coating, we'll get into what's driving the conformal coating business explosion shortly. Let's say, okay, I need to conformal coat. I'm going to conformal coat in-house. I'm not going to send it out to get done. I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it. What type of equipment, manufacturing environment, safety concerns, and all that would I need to at least consider based upon whatever choice of material I choose?
Well, let's start at the beginning and look at the most basic way of applying a conformal coating, and that is by hand brushing. It's not used much these days, normally for prototyping, but it should be done in an extracted cabinet, preferably with some long wave UV light to activate the UV tracer we talked about earlier, so the operator can see where the coating is going, and more importantly where it shouldn't go if he's a bit cack-handed. And of course, if he's using a solvent-based material, the extraction system needs to be explosion-proof. It's very important that there's an extraction system, because without an extraction system, whatever the product, the operator would have to wear a full face mask, preferably air-fed. Also, the operator should be wearing gloves when handling any product. So that's the sort of start point. The next stage would be hand spraying, using an extracted spray booth, preferably with a turntable to be able to rotate the board through 90 degrees, because the best method with hand spraying is to give it a covering, turn it through 90 and repeat that 4 times. You build that up, and if it's a solvent-based material, you'll repeat that 2 or 3 times, depending on the product, to get the required thickness and coverage. And especially with modern day surface mount, where we'll come on to that later, but edge coverage is becoming a problem. So from hand spraying, again, it preferably have a UV light and obviously extraction, but all of that should be explosion proof when using solvent based. Next, a method that was used quite a lot in the 80s and 90s is dip coating, controlled dip coating with a dip coating machine. It is still used today, but often for horizontal dipping, where there are components that are difficult to mask, or the selective coating system cannot make its way through the array of components. And dip coating should be a purpose-built system, have its facilities for extraction, and a controlled immersion and withdrawal speed. And that is the important thing with dip coating. But you can also have inline systems, and some of them will have built-in curing. So it's not, as I say, it's normally very specialist these days. It's not as relevant as it was in the 1980s and 90s. And finally, of course, we have the robotic selective film stroke spray coating systems. This eliminates masking, but obviously it still needs extraction, but they are now becoming very, very popular, even with the military that originally discounted them because they felt that it put the coating down too thick, whereas now with today's components and packing densities, edge coverage is the big thing. Okay, so I think that covers the application methods and what used to be used and what's used today.
Join us on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month for new episodes of Reliability Matters.